The sky above the planet 09 was not like Earth. It was deep purple, with 3 moons that glowed day and night. The wind was dry, carrying the sound of distant growls. The villagers in the desert settlement whispered the same warning to each. Other outsiders must not enter the jungle. The guardian waits. But Jack was not afraid. He was a human explorer, dressed in a black suit with a scanner on his wrist and a pack of tools on his back. He stepped out of his ship, boots hitting the red dust of the alien world. His eyes scanned the land with calm curiosity. The local aliens, tall blue-skinned beings with glowing eyes, watched from a distance. They murmured and pointed, warning him with hand signs and soft growls. But Jack didn't stop. Lyra, the young alien girl, stood among the crowd. She was known for her sharp words and proud heart. Her long white hair moved in the dry wind, and her tail flicked behind her in irritation. "He won't last 5 minutes," she said with a smirk. Another foolish human trying to prove something. But Jack had no weapons. He only had a quiet mind and strong steps. As he moved toward the jungle, the crowd gasped. "No one goes there." Someone shouted, "The Guardian will rip him apart." Another cried. Lyra crossed her arms. "Let him go. The Guardian will show him what this world really is." The jungle was thick, the trees were black and twisted, and strange glowing plants lit the path. Jack walked slowly, his scanner blinking. Softly, the further he went, the quieter everything became. Even the birds stopped making sounds. It was the silence before something powerful. Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep growl came from the shadows. A huge beast stepped out from the trees. It was massive, taller than any building in the village. Its body was covered in sharp blue scales. Its wings folded like mountains. Its eyes were red like fire. This was the Guardian. Back in the village, everyone had climbed 2 rooftops to watch. Lyra stood still, eyes wide. "It's here," she whispered. The Guardian stared at Jack. It let out a roar so loud the trees bent back. Jack didn't run. He didn't move. He just looked at the beast. His heart beat fast, but he didn't show fear. He slowly raised his hand, palm open. The Guardian growled again, stepping closer. 1 step, 2 steps. Its sharp claws dug into the ground. Then something unexpected happened. The Guardian stopped. Its head lowered. It sniffed Jack's hand. The crowd watching went silent. Lyra's tail stopped moving. She leaned forward. Jack stayed calm. He didn't touch the beast, just kept his hand still. The Guardian let out a deep, low rumble. Then, sat down, its giant wings relaxed. It tilted its head and looked at Jack like a curious animal. Lyra's mouth dropped open. "No way." The crowd shouted in confusion and fear. "How is this possible? No one tames the Guardian." Lyra pushed through the crowd and jumped from the rooftop. She ran toward the edge of the jungle, her heart racing with anger and shock back inside the trees. Jack slowly reached into his pack and pulled out a small fruit, glowing and orange. He held it out. The Guardian sniffed again, then took it. Gently, the bond had been made. Lyra finally reached the jungle edge. She saw it with her own eyes, the Guardian, the untouchable beast, calmly sitting beside the human. Jack turned and met her gaze. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply placed a hand on the Guardian's head. Lyra felt her chest tighten. This wasn't possible. Not even her elders could go near the Guardian without losing their lives. Who was this man? The crowd behind her had gone completely quiet. Some stepped back in fear. Others whispered legends of old stories that said only a chosen soul could calm the Guardian. Was he the one? Lyra clenched her fists. Her voice came out in disbelief. "Did you just tame our Guardian, human?" Jack finally spoke, his voice Quiet, but firm. No, I just showed it respect. The moment froze in time. The jungle, the beast, the people, even the wind. All held still. The planet had changed that day, and no one would ever forget the human who did what no alien could. Lyra stood frozen at the edge of the jungle, her bright blue eyes locked on the impossible scene before her. The guardian beast. The monster that ruled their darkest forest was sitting calmly beside a human. No chains, no weapons, no fear. Just a strange silence. "This can't be real," she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time in years. The crowd behind her had gone still. Not even the elders spoke. Some whispered old tales. Some just stared in fear. No one had ever tamed the guardian. 'Twas a force of nature, a storm with teeth. And yet, here it was, behaving like a pet. Jack stood still. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. The beast's massive head was beside him, breathing slow and steady. Its red eyes no longer glowed with rage. They looked calm, almost peaceful, like it had found a friend. Suddenly, the guardian let out a deep sound, not a roar, but something softer. A hum, low and steady. The trees trembled gently, leaves falling like rain. It was the sound it made only once before, long ago. When it lost its original master, Lyra's heart skipped. No way. Then the guardian rose, its giant body stretched up like a tower of muscle and scale. Wings unfolded like dark mountains. The beast lifted its head and gave a single bone-shaking roar, not of anger, but of announcement. The sound echoed through the jungle. Birds flew in every direction. Alien creatures ran from the trees. The very ground shook under its power. From the village, people dropped to their knees. Lyra didn't kneel. She stepped forward, her boots crushing the soft jungle floor. Her pride was too strong, her curiosity even stronger. "What is happening?" she asked aloud. "Why is it listening to him?" Jack finally looked at her. His face was calm, but his eyes had depth like someone who had seen too much and said too little. "It knows I'm not here to control it," he said quietly. The guardian moved again, this time toward Lyra. Her feet froze. Her tail wrapped tight around her leg. The beast stepped close, sniffing the air. Everyone watching held their breath. But then the guardian did something no one expected. Bowed its massive head to her. Lyra didn't breathe. The villagers watching from far away gasped. A creature that had torn apart armored vehicles, that had turned away kings and warlords, had now bowed to an alien girl. After meeting a human, Jack spoke again. "It trusts me, and it knows you're watching closely." Lyra stepped back, confused and shaken. "Why? Why does it trust you at all? It's never trusted any of us." Jack gently patted the side of the guardian's face. "Because I didn't treat it like a beast. I treated it like a friend." Lyra wanted to laugh, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she stared at the massive creature once feared by a land, now calm like a sleeping mountain. A moment passed. Then the guardian let out another low hum and turned around. It walked slowly deeper into the forest, but this time it looked back. Waiting, Jack followed. Lyra stood there, unsure then. The guardian growled once low and soft, urging her to come. Her heart pounded. Her pride screamed to walk away. But something inside her, deeper than fear, told her to move. She followed. The jungle welcomed them with silence and strange lights. As they walked together, Jack didn't speak again. The guardian led the way. Lyra walked behind him, watching everything, feeling things she didn't understand. Who was this human, and what had just begun? Lyra had never followed anyone before. She was a warrior, a leader, proud and sharp-tongued. But now, She was walking behind a human. And not just any human, the one who tamed the untamable. The jungle felt different, not dangerous, not wild, just ... quiet, like it was watching them. The guardian moved slowly ahead, its giant tail sweeping behind like a fallen tree. Jack walked beside it, calm and quiet, as if he belonged. Lyra kept her distance, eyes fixed on the strange man. She wanted answers. Jack finally spoke without turning around. "You keep staring." Lyra blinked. "You keep hiding." Jack chuckled. Softly. "What do you think I'm hiding?" "Something big," she said, crossing her arms. "You tamed our guardian without weapons, tech, or fear. You walk in its jungle like it's your garden. Who are you really?" Jack stopped. The guardian stopped with him. He turned slowly and looked into her eyes. "I'm not special," he said simply. Lyra frowned. "Liar." Jack raised an eyebrow. "I'm not lying. I didn't use tricks. I didn't force it. I just listened." Lyra stepped closer, her voice sharper. "Listen. You make it sound so simple. That thing has crushed war machines, burned down 5 cities during the old wars. Even our mind readers couldn't calm it." Jack looked up at the canopy above. Spast blue lights blinked between the leaves like alien fireflies. "Maybe that was the problem," he said. "Everyone tried to control it. No one ever tried to understand it." Lyra opened her mouth, but the words stuck in her throat. Was he serious? "You're saying all this time was just misunderstood?" she said slowly. Jack nodded. "Some creatures don't want power or worship. They just want peace. But when everyone sees them as monsters, they become one." Lyra looked at the guardian. It was resting beside a glowing tree, its massive chest rising and falling slowly. It looked calm, content, gentle, nothing like the stories. "You spoke to it?" she asked. "No," Jack replied. "I felt it." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "That makes no sense." Jack walked forward, kneeling beside a strange flower that glowed red. "You aliens think humans are weak because we don't have wings or glowing eyes, but we feel more than we show. We survive by heart, not just muscle." Lyra was quiet. She thought back to all the warriors who tried to tame the guardian with strength. All had failed. All had died. Yet this soft-looking human, this quiet man had done what no one could. He stood again. The guardian isn't a beast. It's a soul. It was just waiting for someone to see it that way. Lyra suddenly felt small. For the first time, she looked at the creature not as a monster, but as a living being. Maybe even ... lonely. "How did you know?" she asked. Jack smiled faintly. "Because I was once treated like a monster too." Lyra's breath caught. She didn't ask more. She didn't need to. His words said enough. Suddenly, a sharp screech echoed through the trees. Something was coming. The guardian stood, quickly, growling, eyes glowing again. From the trees, shadows moved. 4 alien hunters with electric spears stepped into view. Their armor glowed, their helmets scanned. They were not from Lyra's village. Jack stepped in front of the guardian, arms raised. "Back away," one hunter shouted. "The creature is property of the Rulan Empire." Lyra shouted back. "You can't control it. Stand down." The hunter laughed. "We have orders to capture the beast and destroy anyone in the way." They raised their weapons. The guardian growled, louder now, eyes blazing red. But it didn't charge. It looked at Jack. Waiting, Lyra saw it. The moment. The truth: the guardian wasn't a weapon. It was a friend. Jack whispered, "Stay calm." And the beast obeyed. Lyra stared in silence. Even facing danger, the bond remained. She stepped beside Jack, ready to fight. Because now, she wasn't. Following a human, she was standing beside something greater. The jungle returned to silence. The hunters had run. Their weapons dropped in fear. The Guardian's single roar had shattered their courage like glass. Now, the trees stood still. The air was heavy again, but different. It wasn't danger anymore. It was respect. Lyra stood beside Jack, her pulse still racing. She looked at the Guardian, now calm once more, its head slowly lowering to the ground like a resting lion. Its eyes weren't red now. They were soft and glowing blue, just like Jack's calm breath. The human said nothing. He walked to a flat rock, sat down, and pulled a small device from his belt. He pressed a button, and a soft melody played, something quiet, sad, and strangely beautiful. A song from Earth. Lyra couldn't take it anymore. She stormed forward, tail flicking like a whip. She stood over him, her voice sharp and hot with questions. Enough games, human. I want answers, now. Jack looked up, his face peaceful. What answers? She leaned in. How did you tame our Guardian? Why does it trust you? You're just a human. You're not royalty, not a warrior. Not even from this planet. Jack let the music play. Then he said quietly, maybe that's why it trusted me. Lyra froze. What? Jack pointed to the beast. You all tried to own it, cage it, control it. But I didn't. I treated it like a lost soul. Lyra stepped back. You think kindness is enough to win over a monster? No, Jack said, standing up. But understanding is. The words hit her harder than she expected. She had trained her whole life to fight. To win, she had been taught that strength ruled everything. That the Guardian only listened to power. But Jack had shown otherwise. Still, her pride wouldn't let her back down. Do you think you're better than us? She hissed. Jack shook his head. No, just different. The Guardian made a deep rumble. Lyra turned to it, and something strange happened. The beast nodded at her. It was a slow, respectful nod. Her eyes widened. Why is it looking at me like that? Jack gave a soft smile. Because it sees your heart changing. Lyra wanted to argue, to shout. But deep inside, she knew he was right. Something inside her was changing, and it scared her. I spent my whole life hearing stories about this creature, she whispered. They said it hated us. They said it was cursed. Jack looked at the beast. Maybe it just wanted someone to care. A silence grew between them. The jungle seemed to listen. Then Lyra spoke again, but this time her voice was softer. Why? Did you come here, Jack? Really? He looked up at the purple sky to find something real. She frowned. What do you mean? Jack turned to her. I was a soldier once. I fought in wars across galaxies. I lost friends. I saw lies, broken promises, empty leaders. I wanted to see something pure, something honest. And this Guardian, who is more honest than any government I served. Lyra stared at him. She didn't expect this answer. A human who came not to conquer, not to trade, but to feel. This was not the story she knew. The Guardian let out a soft growl, then stepped toward Lyra. She stiffened, but didn't move. The beast lowered its giant head and gently touched its nose to her shoulder. Lyra gasped. The same Guardian that burned cities now touched her with care. She looked at Jack, voice trembling. Why me? Jack's voice was steady. Because it knows you're ready. Ready for what? To lead differently. The words hit deep. Lyra looked at her village in the far distance. She had always wanted to lead, to protect her people. With strength, but now, maybe there was another way. One that didn't start with fire, but with trust. She turned to Jack. I still don't like you, she said. Jack laughed. Fair enough. But, she added, I want to learn." His smile faded into something more serious. "Then walk beside me," he said. She nodded slowly. From that moment on, she didn't walk behind the human, she walked with him, and the guardian followed them both. The jungle no longer felt like a wild place. The leaves still rustled. The alien winds still blew, and the glowing plants still pulsed with light. But the fear was gone. Something invisible had shifted. Something deep. Jack walked ahead, silent and calm, the guardian beside him, like a silent mountain with legs. But this time, Lyra walked with them, shoulder to shoulder. No more questions, just understanding. For hours, they walked through places no one from Lyra's village dared to enter. Sharp cliffs, caves that breathe mist, lakes with silver water, sacred lands guarded by the beast for generations. Yet with Jack, the guardian allowed them through. It even cleared paths with its wings, gently moving trees and boulders, like brushing aside leaves. Lyra watched it all with wide eyes. "Why is it showing us this?" she asked quietly. Jack replied without turning, "Because it trusts us." Lyra frowned. "But why me now?" Jack finally looked at her. "Because you stopped looking at it like a weapon." That truth hit her heart like a sudden wind. She had spent her life wanting power, wanting to be the strongest. But this beast had shown her something else. Respect. They reached a wide hill, the top of which overlooked the jungle and beyond. You could see her village from their tiny glowing dots in the distance. The guardian sat on the hill, wings folding neatly, eyes blinking slowly. It let out a soft rumble and lay down like a peaceful dog. Lyra sat too, legs crossed, tail curled. Beside her, Jack sat last, pulling out a strange metal box. He opened it and offered her a small bar of food. "What is this?" she asked, suspicious. "Chocolate," he said. From Earth, she bit into it and instantly made a face. "It's sweet." Jack laughed. "That's the point." She blinked, unsure if she liked it or not. But she took another bite anyway. The three sat in silence. The human, the alien girl, and the guardian beast that once terrified her people. Then Jack asked a question, soft but direct. "What was it like, growing up here?" Lyra looked at the sky. Strict, harsh, beautiful, but cold. You had to prove your worth every day. Kindness was seen as weakness. Jack nodded. "I've seen that in many places." She turned to him. "What about you?" He was quiet for a while. Then he said, "Lonely. I grew up moving from one space station to another. I never stayed long enough to make friends. The stars were the only things that stayed." That answer surprised her. She always thought humans were loud, proud, and too curious for their own good. But Jack, he was different. He didn't chase power. He didn't shout. He just listened. She finally asked, "Why do you care so much about the guardian?" Jack looked at the massive beast lying peacefully beside them. "Because I know what it's like to be feared for no reason." The words were soft, but they struck her harder than any weapon. She looked at the guardian again. "Maybe we were wrong about it all along." Jack didn't answer. He didn't need to. The beast slowly stood up and walked over to her. Gently, it lowered its head and pressed its forehead to hers. Her breath stopped, a symbol of peace, a bond. The guardian had accepted her. Her eyes watered not out of fear, but from something she had never felt before. Trust, not given by force, but earned. Jack stood and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've changed." She nodded slowly. "So have you." In that moment, the jungle wasn't just a place anymore. It was a bridge between worlds, between hearts, between human and alien. The jungle was dark now, but not in a scary way. The moons above shined. through the trees, casting silver light on the quiet forest floor. Strange glowing insects danced in the air like stars, and the Guardian snored softly behind Jack and Lyra. Curled up like a sleeping mountain, they sat by a fire Jack had built small, controlled, warm. No words had been spoken for a while. But the silence wasn't empty. It was full of meaning. Lyra stared into the flames, her face lit by orange light. "Back there," she said quietly, "when I touched the Guardian, I felt something." Jack glanced at her. "What did you feel?" She hesitated. Pain, old pain, and loneliness. Jack nodded slowly. "Yes, that's its truth." Lyra looked confused. "But why? What happened to it?" Jack leaned forward, picking up a small branch and drawing lines in the dirt. "Before your people settled here, this jungle was free. No cities, no battles. The Guardian was not a beast. It was a protector, watching over smaller creatures, balancing nature." Lyra frowned. "I've never heard that." "You wouldn't?" Jack said. "Because your ancestors buried the truth." She looked at him sharply. "What are you saying?" He met her eyes. "Your people tried to kill the Guardian long ago." Lyra's heart pounded. "That's not possible. They feared its power. They wanted control. So they called it dangerous, hunted it, tried to capture it." Lyra's breath grew short. "You saw this?" Jack nodded. "I found the old data. In ruins beyond the desert, records from before the first city was built. They tried to erase everything." Lyra looked away, pain in her chest. "So, we made it a monster." Jack was silent. The truth cut deeper than any blade. She thought about all the times she had called the Guardian a beast, all the times she had cheered for warriors to defeat it. And now, sitting beside it, she knew it had never been. The villain they were. She turned to Jack. "Why did you come here, really?" "You never told me." Jack sighed, his voice soft. "Because I was ordered to." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "By who?" "The Galactic Restoration Unit," Jack said. "They send people like me to investigate old worlds, hidden histories. Find what was lost and what was buried." "You're a spy?" she asked, voice rising. Jack raised a hand. "No, I was supposed to report back. But the moment I saw the Guardian, I couldn't." "Why not?" He looked at the creature, still, sleeping, chest rising with calm breath. "Because I saw myself in it." Lyra didn't speak. Jack continued. "I've been in wars. I've lost people. And after every battle, they looked at me like I was a weapon, not a person. The Guardian looked the same. Powerful, yes, but broken. Misunderstood." Lyra whispered, "So you stayed." "I stayed," Jack confirmed, "to protect it." A moment passed. Then the Guardian stirred, slowly waking. It rose, walked over, and sat quietly beside them, as if sensing the pain in the air. It lowered its head next to Jack, almost like comfort. Lyra watched the bond in silence. Not magic, not control, understanding that was. Jack's strength, not fists, not fire, heart. She turned to the Guardian. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for what we did." The Guardian blinked slowly, then pressed its giant forehead against her again gently. With no anger, forgiveness. Jack smiled faintly. It's waited a long time for someone to say that. Lyra looked at Jack, eyes shining. "So what now?" "You'll report this to your people." Jack shook his head. "I've already sent a false report. Told them nothing of value was found. No life, no reason to stay." Lyra's eyes widened. "You lied?" "I protected," Jack said firmly. "This is not a war zone. It's home." The fire cracked softly. The night air grew still again. Lyra didn't see a human anymore. She saw a guardian of his own kind, not of beasts, but of truth. And beside him, she felt something new: purpose. The sun rose slowly over the jungle. Golden light slipped through the trees, touching the leaves, the stones, and the faces of the three who sat in silence: Lyra, Jack, and the guardian beast. But something had changed in that silence. Not fear, not doubt, understanding. Lyra stood up first. Her boots sank softly into the jungle floor, but her heart felt lighter than ever. She looked down at the guardian and placed her hand gently on its warm scales. It didn't growl. It didn't move. It trusted her now, and that meant everything. She turned to Jack, who was packing up his gear, his face calm like always. "You're really going to stay hidden?" she asked. Jack nodded. "As long as no one comes here to hurt it." She crossed her arms. "What if my people come again, with bigger weapons?" Jack gave her a long look. "That's why I'm not the only one who has to change." Lyra looked at the jungle around her, at the guardian now resting without worry, and then at the sky, where one of the moons was slowly fading into blue daylight. Her world had always been about proving strength. But now, she realized real strength meant protecting what couldn't speak for itself. She walked up to Jack and stood face to face. "I want to be that change," she said quietly. Jack raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? Your leaders may not." "Like that, they won't," she admitted. "But they've been wrong before." He chuckled. "That's brave." She looked at him, not with pride, but with something else, something soft. "Teach me," she said, "not how to fight, but how to see." Jack's smile was small, but real. "All right, but it's not easy." "I know," Lyra said, "but it's worth it." Suddenly, the guardian stood and walked between them, as if sealing the promise made in silence. It looked at Lyra, then at Jack, and let out a long, deep hum that echoed gently through the trees. Lyra looked back at the beast. "It wants us to go together." Jack nodded. "Then let's walk." They moved through the jungle, the three of them. Not warrior and beast, not conqueror and monster, but companions. Word would spread eventually. Legends always did. One day, someone would say, "A human tamed the guardian." But that would not be the full story, because the truth was he did not tame it. He understood it, and through that understanding, he helped others see the truth. Lyra, most of all, when they reached the edge of the jungle, they could see the village again, small, distant, but watching. Jack stopped. "You sure you're ready for this?" Lyra looked at her home, at the people who once feared the jungle, at the leaders who once called her proud, and she said with strength in her voice, "No, but I'm going anyway." Jack grinned. "Good answer." The guardian gave a short huff, almost like a laugh, then sat near the trees, choosing not to follow but to watch. It knew now that it didn't have to be feared. It would be protected. Lyra turned one last time before walking to the village. She looked at Jack. "Thank you for seeing what we couldn't." Jack simply nodded. "Thank you for learning." And then she walked away. Not the same girl who had once laughed at the human entering the jungle. Not the warrior who once thought strength was everything. She walked now with something more,